Today, one of the things that I wanted to start discussing and bring up a little bit is brainwaves. Brainwaves. You might, if you haven't already, you might start hearing about brainwaves in the news, in popular media outlets. Hopefully, you may have heard about it before, but the reason why you may start hearing about it more and more is that there's mounting scientific evidence that may suggest, for instance, that certain brain waves may actually be really beneficial for us. And there's new research that just came out of MIT, for instance, looking at gamma waves and actually exposing ourselves to gamma waves through light and sound, and having that be beneficial for things like possibly neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's, dementia, maybe even brain injury, stroke, and stuff like that. So if you see any articles recently, a lot of different articles have been written on gamma waves. It's related to research that recently came out of MIT. Now, the majority of this research is still done in animals, but it's fairly profound where the changes by exposing some of these animals to gamma waves led to significantly increased ability to essentially detoxify the brain through activation of the one of the systems, the lymphatic system, which has the cerebrospinal fluid in it, and it helps to kind of like what we say, like wash the brain. And so, just to talk a little bit about brain waves and what you may see in the news, what you may see reading articles, what you may see as possible non-invasive therapeutic options for to prevent cognitive impairment, to possibly reverse cognitive impairment, and so just looking at brain waves in general. Okay, anytime we talk about a wave, it's characterized by some frequency that's measured in hertz, which is cycles per second. So we're looking at cycles per second. So the lower the frequency of the wave, the slower the brain wave itself. And these are measured by EEGs. So when you see people, and they're hooked up with all these electrodes on their head, what they're doing is they're measuring sort of electrical activity that's occurring in the brain, and the electrical activity that's actually produced by the brain. And so there's various forms of electrical activity that are actually dependent on some of the actions that we take. And so imagine, right, that depending on what activity you may be in, your brain actually may kind of synchronize and have a certain electrical activity to it. And if you had electrodes that were hooked up to your scalp, that you would be able to measure that and say, oh, that looks like a slower wave, or that looks like a faster wave, or there was a change in wave there. What did you do? Oh, I started thinking about something more intensely, or whatever it might be. And so it's believed that these waves are formed by sort of synchronized neuronal activity. So when there's a synchronization of neuronal activity that's occurring in the brain, we get certain brain waves. So just like any wave, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And the faster it goes up and down, right, that would be a faster wave. And then and since it's cycles per second, that would be a higher number. And then if it slows down and it goes, that would be a, technically a slower wave, and so you get a slower. And so I just want to talk about some brain waves that have been found with the instruments that we have so far. The slowest wave that we know of is the delta wave. This is less than 4 hertz, essentially. And what these waves have been found is these waves have been found in deep, specifically dreamless sleep. So deep dreamless sleep, loss of bodily awareness. This is when delta waves come up. So when you're in a deep sleep, your brain produces delta waves. Right? The next one is theta waves. This is between 4 to 8 hertz. 4 to 8 hertz. And these are thought in reduced states of consciousness, deep meditation. So deep meditation can activate theta waves. Things like dreams, light sleep, or REM sleep can show theta waves. So we're going from the delta, which is the slowest, to theta, which is the next slowest, and then alpha. So delta, theta, and then alpha. And this is anywhere between 9 to 13 hertz. So you can see we're kind of moving, we're kind of getting faster in the brainwave activity. And alpha waves are when you're in a physically or relaxed mental state. You may be awake but drowsy. And so some people say sort of these are the brain waves that occur when we're relaxing and recharging. And those are 9 to 13 hertz. And then we go to the beta waves, and these are 14 to 30 hertz. And this is when we are awake in a normal state of consciousness, sort of being alert, when we're problem solving, when we're engaging. The majority of us at this time are probably in a beta state. There may be some alpha in there. Some of you may be physically and mentally relaxed. Maybe you're a little drowsy from listening to my voice, and so you're hitting a little bit of alpha. But really, kind of more in that beta. You're engaged, hopefully, awake, some sort of normal state of consciousness, and that's 14 to 30 hertz. That's 14 to 30 hertz. Gamma is really when we get to the 30 hertz and above. So if you're thinking about, cycles per second, right, go from the slowest, which is, let's say we're looking at, 1 to 4 hertz. Okay, that's 1 cycle per second. So it's up and down. 1 cycle, right, per second. Okay, that's the slowest. That's in a deep sleep. Then we get the theta, right, which is 4 to 8. So let's say 6. So 6 cycles per second. So you're getting some up and down movements in there. You got to get 6 cycles in per second. And then we go to 30 or above cycles per second, right? So you just kind of think of what that from even just an electrical stimulus perspective, what that may be, right? 30, right? You're trying to get 30 cycles in per second. So faster brain activity that's happening, right? Initially, interestingly, these waves were so fast that they thought were just background noise for some studies that they were doing. And then what happened is that they realized that these gamma waves were actually really important, and they actually show up during states of heightened perception. and intense concentration, And there's a lot of research that has gone into the gamma wave specifically, because what they have found is they have found that in certain states of neurodegeneration, Alzheimer's, dementia, that we actually we lose the gamma. We lose that there's a decrease in gamma wave activity in those states. And so naturally, right, what then would we try to do? Well, if we feel like we're losing that, there may be therapeutics that help try to actually increase that. And that's why some of the recent research that you might actually see being published, even in journals or newspapers, on gamma waves, because what we're trying to do is trying to activate those waves in people that may have less of those waves available to them. One of the cool things, right, is when we practice a form of meditation where we do have that hyper focus, right, that intense concentration, where all we're doing is we talked about it over the last few weeks. It's like that laser focus is on your mantra, or the laser focus is on the proprioceptive movement of your finger, for instance, right? When there's an intense concentration on one thing, this is when the gamma waves in the brain are actually activated, right? So by the conscious choices that you make of the activity that you're engaged in, you can actually activate these brain waves yourself. Right? If you choose to go into more of a relaxed kind of recharge, okay, that might be an alpha, right? So if you just kind of think about some of the different meditations that we've done, right? Some being more relaxing, some being less, let's say, less attentive, right? Almost just resting our attention, just allowing what occurs to appear in our awareness, but not really focusing anything per se. That's actually when the alpha waves appear, and they've shown this. They've shown this actually, hooking people up to EEGs and having them meditate. They go from, for instance, that beta wave, which is that awake or normal state of consciousness, into an alpha, more of a relaxed state, or even a theta, right? Some sort of reduced level of consciousness, but deep meditation. And when there's a hyper focus on something, the gamma waves can actually appear. And so one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up is not only will you see articles written on gamma activation, gamma activity, but the exercises that we are actually doing here are shifting our brainwaves. They're actually shifting our brainwaves, and based on the exercise or meditation that we choose to do, we can actually go from a beta state. We can go from a beta wave to an alpha or a theta wave. If we have a deep meditation, a deep relaxed meditation, or we could activate the gamma waves through intense focus, intense concentration. And oftentimes what I've said in that intense focus or concentration is that as we are paying attention to one single thing, right? One single thing, then there's this there's this sort of heightened sense of perception that emerges. It's almost like we're focusing on the one, but then the all appears. And that might actually be a mechanism of the brain activity that's going on in the moment of our hyper focus. Okay. I want to read a few things. This is from WebMD, just so just so that you don't think I'm crazy. But it's okay if you do. I have no problem with that at all. Okay. This is actually from WebMD, which, is a fairly well-known, well-reviewed medical literature website. And this was actually written fairly recently on August 16th of 2023. And the title of this is What to Know About Gamma Brainwaves. Understanding. So this is a 4-minute read. I'm just gonna read it. Your brain is constantly at work, performing processes like thinking, concentrating, remembering, and more. During these activities, your brain cells constantly communicate with each other. This produces patterns or rhythms called brainwaves. Gamma brainwaves are one such wave pattern created by your brain. Here is all you need to know about gamma brainwaves and how they benefit you. Understanding brainwaves. Your brain is made up of cells called neurons. When your brain performs neurological functions, neurons transmit information to each other via electrical signals. These signals produce rhythms or wave patterns which are known as brain waves. Brain waves can be measured using electroencephalography or EEG and magnetoencephalography or MEG. These techniques involve the attachment of electrodes or sensors to your head for detecting your brain's activity. And it goes through the types of brain waves. When you are awake and alert, your brain is more active. This results in fast brain waves. If you are sleepy or bored, they may be slower. So from the slowest, like we said, delta waves are the slowest. Now I'm paraphrasing a little bit. These are found during sleep. These are the slowest brain waves. Then we move on to theta. These are waves produced when you're sleeping or daydreaming when awake. Alpha waves are produced when you're awake, but your mind is in a resting state. So you can imagine how we can go into that alpha theta mode when we are meditating. We go into a resting state. They are associated with being calm and alert. You can imagine, right, a lot of the exercises that we do bring some sort of calmness or alertness in there. They can help you during activities that require learning and coordinating. Then we get to the beta waves. These are your daily activities when you're awake, alert, busy, focused, etc., etc. And then gamma waves. Gamma waves are the fastest brain waves. They mainly occur when you're highly alert and conscious. So they range from 30 to 80 hertz, according to WebMD. Gamma brain waves have the highest frequency among all brain waves. They are associated with high levels of thought and focus. They can have different effects depending on their levels in your brain. If your brain produces high levels of gamma waves, you tend to be happier and more receptive. You may also have a higher intelligence quotient or IQ and better concentration. If your brain produces low levels of gamma waves, you may develop learning and memory problems. You may experience lower concentration, attention span, and mental ability. Lower levels of gamma waves can even lead to learning disabilities and mental disorders. The benefits of gamma brainwaves. Gamma brainwaves are associated with higher brain functions like cognition and memory. A recent study has shown that gamma waves can improve working memory. Studies have also revealed that increased gamma brain wave activity can help you achieve the highest concentration levels. Gamma waves can also promote higher states of awareness and increased brain function during meditation. Gamma waves have the following benefits. They can improve your cognition and problem-solving ability. They can help you with information processing. They can improve your memory. They can help increase your attention span. They can increase your awareness and mindfulness. And they may boost your brain's immunity and function. Because of these effects, researchers have indicated the use of gamma brainwaves to treat the following conditions: Alzheimer's disease, schizophrenia, mild traumatic brain injury, epilepsy, stroke, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and mood disorders like depression. How can you boost your brainwaves? You can manipulate and boost your brainwaves through various techniques. Meditation. Different types of meditation and breathing exercises can increase the production of brain waves in your brain, of gamma waves in your brain. Diet, including nuts like pistachios and peanuts in your diet, can help boost your gamma and delta waves. Music. A study has shown that auditory stimuli like music or binaural beats can help boost your alpha and theta waves as well. So they were looking at the alpha and theta waves, but you can see that even with WebMD, right, stating that gamma waves can actually be increased or produced with meditation. Okay, with meditation and breathing. And if you just think of kind of some of the exercises, we haven't really talked about this, right? We haven't talked about shifting the brain waves. We have talked about connectivity of different brain regions through meditations, but we haven't really talked about brain waves per se. And so the exercises that we do are definitely, right, we're definitely shifting our brainwave activity. If we did have an EEG while we were in this practice, we definitely see a shift from that beta or awake normal consciousness to either an alpha or theta state or a gamma state. And what people are looking at, right, is that while meditation takes on it's an active process, right? We say it. Right? How many of you did your meditation, your mindfulness exercises over the weekend? But we're trying to learn how to stimulate these gamma waves in different ways. And one of the ways that they are looking at is through visual and auditory stimulus. So putting on like people might be coming out with like goggles or virtual reality goggles that have a stimulus, and that stimulus is a 40 hertz stimulus, and as that goes into as that stimulates our eyes, we're actually stimulating our brain at that same frequency. The other one is through auditory. So imagine, right, an auditory, some sort of sound that's beating at 40 hertz per minute, that based on the beat of the sound will actually change the brain waves in the brain. And what they've shown at MIT is that we can actually influence the brain waves using visual and auditory stimulus. And so I guarantee you, nobody's done any studies on these specifically, but if this does interest you in any way, that there are, on YouTube or anything like that, you could probably Google 40 hertz, brainwave activities, and see what sort of sound rhythm or what you get, and listen to it and see if there's any, see if you notice any changes in your alertness or what it might be. A recent review on this called "The Role of Gamma Oscillations in Central Nervous System Diseases." Again, just reading the abstract here. Gamma oscillations specifically control the connectivity between different brain regions, which is crucial for perception, movement, memory, and emotion. Studies have linked abnormal gamma oscillations to conditions of the central nervous system, including Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and schizophrenia. Evidence suggests that gamma entrainment using sensory stimuli, so GENUS, they have this acronym here, GENUS, gamma entrainment using sensory stimuli provides significant neuroprotection. So how can we actually protect our neurons, right? By exposing ourselves, by activating the gamma frequency in our brain. Now here's sort of a cool clincher for me, right? Because I study a lot on the cerebrospinal fluid. What these researchers at MIT showed was actually that by stimulating the brain, either auditorily or visually, with a gamma hertz frequency, increased the gamma brain waves, which then led to this increased fluid movement through the brain, able to clean out more of the toxins that build up throughout the day. And they're actually able to get rid of that they showed in some of these mice models of Alzheimer's, that by stimulating with gamma from external, they were actually able to decrease the plaques and increase this fluid movement through the brain to increase toxin removal. So now we're looking at this sort of big picture, right? Is through practices like maybe intense, focused, concentrative meditation, that we are actually opening, right? We are manipulating the brain waves. And just through that manipulation of the brain waves, we're actually able to open up the fluid that passes through the brain, increasing removal of toxins, and just like what they said in that article, actually leading to neuroprotection. That we by having the fluid flow more freely, and by cleaning out the toxins, it's like a freshly flowing river, that we can actually remove these toxins, keep them out, and have this constant flow, so that we're protecting our neurons from any future damage from toxins that are building up. Okay. So once again, kind of connecting the dots, right? Connecting these dots. And I guarantee you, just like 5 years ago when we were talking about, breathing exercises and the explosion of breathing, and we saw papers now coming out, right? I guarantee you in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see a lot more on using sound and light to affect our bodies, to affect our brains for health, whether it's for a protective mechanism or an actual healing mechanism or something like that. We're going to start seeing more of these, right? Oh, what am I listening? What sound, what frequency, what resonance, right? They were looking at 40 hertz, right? What resonance of sound am I listening to? What resonance of sound am I being exposed to with my eyes, therapeutically, or even intentionally, to say, hey, I would like to go into this heightened state of perception with increasing gamma, right? And you actually being able to manipulate that based on the type of meditation that we choose, and that is pretty cool. Okay. and you might kind of notice it yourself a little bit when we do the various practices, right? We've had practices where we sit back and almost go into more of a relaxing, recharging meditation. And we've had practices where it's like, hey, you know, you're not resting your attention. Where's your attention? No, we are focusing on one specific thing, right? Don't, sort of like, where are you going? Hey, where are you going? No, come back here, right? And that's more of the, leading the puppy down the trail, right? Is that the puppy wants to go into all the nooks and crannies, and we're sort of nudging it and saying, nope, stay on the trail. 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 And so how the different types of meditation may actually change the brain waves, and not only change the brain waves and lead to think something like, let's say, a relaxed state or feeling more recharged, but actually where our physiology, because of the brain wave that we are activating, our physiology changes, allowing for our fluid system to open up and to bathe our brain and to clean out the toxins and to clean out anything that's building up in there. And the more we practice this, right, the more we're opening up, the more we're actually getting into that recharged. We're balancing our parasympathetic nervous system, but then we're also opening up our brain to allow the fluid to flow to clean out the toxins. Okay. So in my opinion, right, quite divine, quite beautiful. Really kind of linking a lot of these practices up with neuroscience, with the flow of the fluid through the brain, with heightened states of perception that occur, as well as possibly being a therapeutic modality for to prevent cognitive decline, to prevent cognitive impairment, or maybe to reverse it one day. So that's that. So the exercise that we're going to do is going to be more of a concentration exercise, let's say, and just knowing that when you are in a state of concentration, focus, that we're actively actually manipulating our brainwaves. So yeah, my brainwaves are shifting. They're going from a beta. If I'm feeling more relaxed, maybe they're going into an alpha theta, or we're actually bringing them up to a gamma, to a more a higher brainwave height perception. Okay, so that will be our practice. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's find a comfortable posture. A posture you feel relaxed yet alert. Closing your eyes if you feel comfortable closing your eyes. If not, having a soft downward gaze. And taking 2 or 3 deep breaths and allowing yourself to be here now. Allowing yourself to be present. Even if it's just intending to be so. And for this practice, bringing your attention to a felt sense in your body that you feel you can direct your attention to, that feels safe. This might be the contact that your feet are making with the floor or whatever surface they're on. This might be your thighs making contact with the chair. Or if you're lying down, your back making contact with whatever surface it's on. Or your hands in your lap. Finding a place in your body that you can pay attention to the sensation of that contact, whatever that might be, that feels safe for you to direct your attention to. And notice the sensation of that contact as best you can. Be totally and ultimately curious about it. What does the contact feel like in your body? Is it hard or soft? Is there more part of your body that's making contact than the other? Be as curious as possible about the contact that your body is making with the surface it's on. And as your mind wanders, simply noticing that your mind has wandered, and coming back to the felt sense of your body, making contact with the surface it's on. A hyper-focus on that perception, on the sensation. Bringing in an intense concentration. Knowing that with that intense concentration, you may be manipulating your brainwaves into a gamma waveform activity, increasing the fluid flow through your brain, cleaning out the toxins that naturally build up throughout the day. And now, allowing your attention to rest. Allowing your attention to come back. Just simply noticing whatever may arise in the moment. Without paying too much energy to it. Going into a more relaxed state of attention. Possibly going from more of a gamma wave to an alpha theta wave. Allowing your whole body to feel the change in brainwave activity as you're changing your attention, your focus. Allowing your attention to rest as best you can. And now taking 2 or 3 deep breaths. Feeling your whole body breathing. Opening your eyes if your eyes were closed. Reorienting yourself to your room and surroundings. And just taking a moment to reflect on your practice today.